Hello and welcome back to our Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky 1 playthrough. In our last episode we investigated the Black Ornament further by attempting to open it with a circular saw. As you do. It naturally turned off the power of the circular saw, so we decided to have a go at it with an internal combustion engine, which was apparently small enough to fit into Estelle's pocket and light enough for her to carry. Okay, that's fine. Now, they sort of almost blew out the engine trying to do it, but they did make a tiny scratch in it. And, now, while Professor Russell continues his experimentation on getting the Black Ornament open, we have to go and escort Tita, his granddaughter, to a spa to fix their spa engine thing. So we're going off. Ow.
We did it!
Yes, we did. And we got some beast flesh too. Lucky us. Now we are heading to the village of Elmo, which is south. Right. Estelle says, "Wow, so this is Elmo, huh? I like it. Feels homey. What's that smell? Joshua, did you?" Tita says, "Oh, that's just the sulfur in the water." Joshua says, "I guess that's just what happens when the water pours out of the hot springs, huh?" Estelle pouts. "Ugh, really? Smells like someone left eggs out in the sun for a year." "Well, if I hold my breath, it's not too bad, I guess." Tita laughs. "It's not as strong as usual, though. There's hardly any steam coming out." Joshua says, "Maybe it's tied to the pump breaking down. Want to go ahead and see about fixing it?" Tita says, "Oh, the key to the pump shed is back at the inn. Mrs. Mao has it. We'll have to get that first." Estelle says, "No problem. To the inn we go." Autumn souvenirs. "What do you have, sir?" Mr. Seamer. Mr. Seamer says, "Not many customers today. I hope Quante's inviting them to see the store." Over Quante is. Let's see. Fluffy spring egg. A boiled egg cooked over low heat, soft and rubbery. Soft, rubbery. Soft, rubbery. Okay. If that's the way that they want to say it, I guess. Fluffy spring egg. It requires 3 eggs. 2 fresh eggs, a bird egg, and some kibbled salt. Still don't know what kibbled salt is. Oh well. Maybe one day I'll remember to look it up. I highly doubt it. I'll just keep saying that I will and never do it. The maple leaf. Or leaf? Maple leaf. 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 Close enough. Tita says, "Hi, Mrs. Mao." Mrs. Mao says, "Oh, hello, Tita. I'm glad you're here." Mr. Murdoch just got in touch with me a little while ago. Is it true that the professor is making you do the repairs while he's off doing Aidos knows what? Tita says, "It's not like that. He was planning to come here until I said something about it." Mrs. Mao says, "Oh, well, bless your heart, child. But you know you spoil that old coot, don't you? He's always been the sort to completely lose himself in his research given half the chance." Tita laughs, quite embarrassed. Estelle whispers, "Energetic old granny, isn't she?" Joshua says, "Well, she obviously knows the professor." Mrs. Mao asks, "And who might you be?" Tita says, "Oh, let me introduce you. This is Estelle and this is Joshua. They're with the Braces Guild and they're looking out for me." Estelle says, "Hello." Joshua says, "It's nice to meet you." Mrs. Mao says, "Well, what do you know? Please do pardon me. I'm the owner of the Maple Leaf Inn. You can call me Mrs. Mao. Russell and I have been friends since we were knee-high to a grasshopper. Tita here is almost like my own granddaughter." Estelle says, "Oh, okay." Tita laughs. "All right, Mrs. Mao, is the Orbital pump really broken?" Mrs. Mao says, "I'm afraid so, dear. I think the 40-year-old beast may finally be on its last legs. Oh well, I wanted to replace it at some point anyway. Can you handle it, Tita?" Tita says, "You betcha." Mrs. Mao says, "Okay, just a sec. We have received the pump shed key." Mrs. Mao says, "Just go north of the village square up the hill. The pump shed's right there. I really appreciate it." Well, that's good to know. Not a lot of customers you have here, Mrs. Mao. Quante says, "This place sure seems lonely without all the steam clouds." Lucky says, "I thought the hot water was starting to get weaker, but it's all stopped now." Cigaro says, "Yep, it's lukewarm. Definitely nothing hot about these springs right now. I heard the pumps are broken and we can't use the baths. It's a shame, but then again, it's also the will of Aidos. If you say so." Adele says, "If my husband wants to spend his time training, that's his choice. It sure isn't mine. Here I was hoping to have a long, relaxing soak too. Oh well, I guess I'll just do some shopping and then have an exotic dinner." An exotic dinner. Wonder what's in an exotic dinner. Addie says, "I should start getting dinner ready during the post-lunch downtime. Working 2 jobs can be so exhausting sometimes." I do agree with you there, my dear. Well, this would be the pump shed. And a locked gate. Oh no. The door is locked. Estelle asks, so this is the pump shed? Tita says, that's right. It sends hot water to the inn and to the well in the town square. Joshua says, well, let's try that key. We have used the pump shed key. And it sounded like it broke in half. Oh, it may have broken in half, but it got us inside. Estelle says, wow, so this is the pump, huh? Joshua says, you'd never know it was so old from how well maintained it is. Tita laughs. Well, I think my grandpa comes in at least once a year to keep it running well. 40 years ago, people didn't really know much about orbments. So Grandpa created this orbital pump to show people what a difference orbital technology could make to their lives. Estelle says, oh, okay, so this place probably has some sentimental value for your grandfather then, I guess. Joshua adds, and that's why it's kept in such good condition. Tita nods. Right. Then she goes over to the pump. Tita says, let's see. First up is a systems check. And if that's okay, then we make sure there are no problems with the impeller or the pipes. Estelle asks, can we do anything to help? Tita says, oh, it's fine. This is a one-person job anyway. You guys should just go to the inn and relax. It might be the cavitation and the water hammer. What to check next? Aha, it's a surging problem. Estelle says, I figured we wouldn't be of any use. Joshua replies, apparently not. Maybe we should take her advice and wait at the inn. I really hope those plovers can't be heard. I hope this noise gate actually works. Mrs. Meow says, hello again. How's Tita doing? Estelle says, she's hard at work. We figured we'd probably just get in the way, so we'll stay here. Mrs. Meow laughs. Well, you just might be right at that. She's almost as talented as Russell himself. Estelle says, hard to argue with that after watching her at work. Joshua says, I'm just amazed that she's working at the central factory at her age. Mrs. Meow says, and no matter what, she's always so sweet, always has a smile for everyone. But get her in front of a machine and she'll tinker with it for hours. She loves it. She's just a fine girl. But still, Estelle asks, what's wrong? Mrs. Meow says, oh, it's nothing. Ed calls, hey, Mrs. Meow. And Ed enters the inn. Mrs. Meow says, welcome back, Ed. What's gotten you all frothing at the mouth? Ed says, I wanted to ask you something. Did that lady from Grantsell leave? Mrs. Meow asks, a lady from Grantsell? Oh, the guest from yesterday. She went out for a walk, but she hasn't come back yet. Ed says, I thought so. This is awkward. Mrs. Meow asks, what? Isn't she in the village? Ed says, well, actually, I saw her by the village gate. She said she was going to go and take in the scenery or something. Mrs. Meow asks, out on the plains? She'd have to be a fool to go where all the monsters are. You complete idiot, why didn't you stop her? Ed says, I did. I tried. She just wouldn't listen. I don't know how seriously she took what I said, but I'm worried. Estelle says, pardon me? Ed asks, what? Are you new guests? Joshua asks, do you remember what time you saw that lady by the gate? Ed says, I think it was right around noon. At least, that's about when I got back. Estelle says, noon. Yeah, I think we can catch up with her. Joshua says, we should get going before it's too late. Ed says, huh? Estelle says, well, we're braces, if you couldn't tell by looking. Joshua says, we'll head out into the plains and find this girl. Don't worry. Ed says, no kidding. What a stroke of luck. Yes, please. Mrs. Mouse snaps, you've no right to even ask for their help. But fine, the guest's safety is paramount. I hate to impose on you two, but please look after my guest. Estelle nods, will do. Joshua says, we'll be going now. Well, I guess we'll be going now. Actually, we should ask Ed which gate she left from. Ed says, I can't believe there are braces here. That makes me feel a lot better. I leave the customer's safety in your capable hands. Okay, but could you tell us where said customer left from? No? Okay. Okay, so we'll try the gate with the padlock on it, because that's the most logical choice. The door is locked. Well, that would be the most logical choice, and the most logical choice is not correct, so that by process of elimination means this gate. Estelle says, now let's see. The Plains Road is so wide. Where should we search? Joshua says, supposedly she said she was going to take in the scenery, so it seems likely she's wandered away from where the road's paved. Estelle says, oh man, well that's going to be really safe, isn't it? But hey, no biggie, let's find her and bring her back, hopefully with all pieces intact. Scenery, lake. Lake's pretty scenic. Oh. We found a Tita barn. It wouldn't be empty if you hadn't already looted it now, would it? Well, I can't fault your logic, but you don't have to be quite so sarcastic, Mr. Treasure Chest. We found another Tita bar. It's empty, diabolical. Or diabolical if you're Bugs Bunny. Monsters appeared. No. Oh, that's a lot of. That's a lot of. That's a lot of creepy sheep. What graphs can we use? Use Comet to do 2. What will Hurricane do? Yes, we'll use Hurricane in this point, in this circumstance. Ow. Ow. Lazy sheep's gone loco. not nice.
Not now.
Okay. Estelle's asleep. Not for long, though. Alright, well, I can cast Hellgate. See what that does. Ow. Okay. So I can get rid of you. Hopefully. And get rid of you, hopefully. Wow. Let's learn yet another new dish. Let's learn rotini pasta. Ow. This is uncalled for, you know. Oh well, at least we got him this time. We received 4 leathery tails and found a hit 3. You must be awfully optimistic if you think more treasure is going to appear in this chest. Well, alright, black pepper soup for Estelle. Orange ice cream for Joshua. Some rainbow jelly beans as well. and a deep-fried smelt. Okay, that looks better. A girl's voice cries, "No, someone help me!" Estelle asks, "Did you hear that?" Joshua says, "Whatever it was, it's not far." The girl's voice cries again, "Aidos, Daddy, Mummy, Niall, help me!" Estelle frowns. That voice sounds suspiciously familiar. Joshua says, "I think you're probably right, but let's hurry." A lot of rather nasty-looking doggies are growling at Dorothy. Dorothy says, "Come on, puppies, can't we talk about this? I don't think I taste very good. I mean, I sleep at least 12 hours a day, and I eat lots of veggies, and my skin's all smooth." Wait, does being healthy make me seem yummier? The monsters growl again. Dorothy squeals. "If I'd known this was coming, I'd have made sure to get paid in advance and had a nice meal." "Huh? You too?" Estelle grins, "Just as I expected." Joshua says, "No need to worry, Dorothy." Dorothy asks, "What were your names again?" Estelle sighs, Yeah, it's the same old Dorothy, all right." Joshua says, "We're Joshua and Estelle from the Braces Guild." Dorothy laughs. "I'm just teasing. Fancy meeting you two here." Estelle whispers, "Aidos give me the strength not to leave her to the beasts." Joshua shouts, "Estelle, on your guard." Here they come. Ow. Oh, well, that's nasty. That's it, Dorothy. Run away. The way they just pop all at the same time, like boom, boom, boom. Ow!
That's that then. Let's move out.
Well, that's just a few water crystals. Estelle says, "Whew, I don't know how we chased them off, but we did." Joshua asked, "Did they look familiar to you?" Estelle nods. "Yep, they're the monsters who attacked the checkpoint on the mountain pass. I wonder what they're doing out here." Dorothy cries, "Oh, how lovely. You braces are very impressive." Estelle and Joshua, it's been such a long time, hasn't it? I never would have thought I'd see you here. Do you think maybe we were destined to meet again? Estelle says, "Fate is a fickle mistress, all right." Joshua says, "So, Dorothy, are you staying at the inn in Elmo by any chance?" Dorothy says, "Why, yes. Hey, how did you know?" Joshua and Estelle explained that the owner of Elmo's Inn had requested that they bring her back safely. Dorothy says, "Oh, I see. Well, isn't that just terrible?" Estelle nods. "Uh-huh. As if you care about anyone else's problems. So what brings you out here? A little cross-country hiking, maybe?" Dorothy shakes her head. "You mean you don't even know that much? I see that you haven't gotten any more insightful in our time apart." Estelle pouts. "What?" Dorothy says, "The answer is actually that I'm looking for a photograph that the newspaper needs for a special edition. Oh, and by the way, Niall's the one who assigned me this task." Joshua says, "I see. So it's work." Estelle says, "Okay, but why would you be looking for that here?" "Oh, forget it. This wears me out faster than fighting any monster ever did." Dorothy says, "Oh, poor Estelle. Did you get hurt in the battle?" "Pain, pain, go away. Come again some other day. Or not at all would be better, I guess." Estelle shouts, "I'm not injured. I'm just really aggravated at your utter obliviousness." Joshua whispers to himself, "Wow, it's rare for someone to get under Estelle's skin this badly." He then says, "Estelle, why don't we head back to Elmo? Maybe Tita's done fixing the pump." Estelle says, "Yes, let's go back. And I think Dorothy will be coming back with us." Dorothy says, "Huh? But I wanted to stay and take more pictures." Estelle says, "We are going now." Dorothy quails, "Scary." Oh well. Turned around again. Estelle says, "Oh, look, there's steam coming out." Dorothy says, "Hey, you're right." Joshua says, "Looks like the repairs worked." Dorothy whistles. "Now we can finally use the spa. Yay! Life is good again." Estelle says, "Kinda overstating things a bit, aren't you?" Joshua asks, "Do you really like the spa that much?" Dorothy laughs. "Well, yeah. There's absolutely nothing finer than a tall glass of fruity milk after a hot bath." Fruity milk. Now I'm going to go ahead and get in. Oh, I just remembered. Guys, thanks for coming to help me earlier. I have all my hands and toes and bits because of you two. Estelle says, you don't have to thank us for having good timing. Man, she can be such a ditz. Joshua says, well, that's Dorothy for you. Anyway, let's get back to the pump shed. Estelle nods. Okay. Tita's probably still there. Very likely. Tita is looking at some of the devices. Estelle asks, are you done with the repairs? Tita says, oh, hi guys. Yeah, I just finished. I just have to make sure that the hot water's going where it's supposed to. Estelle says, it's okay, the one in the plaza has hot water. Joshua asks, so what was the problem? Tita says, well, the pump itself wasn't the issue. The crankshaft on the impeller had corroded and broken. I switched it out with the rust-resistant one, so everything should be fine now. Estelle says, cool, nice work. Joshua asks, shall we return to the inn and let the hostess know? Tita says, okay. Well, let's return to the inn, shall we? Mrs. Mouse says, thank you, Tita. Pump's pumping like it was just installed yesterday. Tita laughs. Really? Please think nothing of it. Mrs. Mouse says, well, haven't you grown into such a well-mannered young lady? And thank you two for helping us out with that guest as well. You guys know everyone, it seems. Estelle blushes. I guess we do. Tita asks, what happened? Joshua replies, a little bracer business. Mrs. Mouse says, you two have my thanks. As a way to pay you back, I'd like you to stay here free. Estelle says, no way! No way! Really? Tita asks, Ma'am, we didn't tell my grandfather we were going to stay here. Mrs. Mouse says, nonsense, I heard from Russell a little earlier. He said the job would take him until tomorrow to finish, and he asked if you could stay here. Tita asked, Grandpa says that? Estelle says, what a sweet old guy. Joshua says, well, if he said that, then I'm afraid we have no choice but to impose for the night. Mrs. Mouse says, come right in. You can put your things in the yuzu room on the second floor. It'll be some time before dinner, so go take a dip in the hot springs. Estelle asks, you want us to take a bath before dinner? I thought people took their baths before they went to sleep. Mrs. Mouse asks, what are you talking about? This is a hot springs resort. People expect you to jump in the bath in the morning, at lunch, whenever. Tita says, I'd be okay with 3 baths a day here. Estelle asks, really? Well, I like baths as much as anybody, but it sounds a little bit much for me. Joshua laughs. Shall we go put our bags in our room then? All right, let's go put our bags in the lemon room. Pity there's no easy way to tell which is the lemon room. Well, by process of elimination, it's not that one, so it must be this one. Estelle says, wow, nice room. Joshua nods, indeed. Tita says, Mrs. Mao told me that she was born off to the east. She moved to Libelle with her family when she was little. The village has a lot of people from the same area. Estelle says, I thought this village had a kind of unusual vibe. I'll bet the food here must be really good. Joshua says, yeah, but before that, why don't we check out the spa we've been hearing about? Estelle says, hey, yeah. Did you want to join us, Tita? Tita says, okay. Joshua says, we can go after we put away our luggage. And so they put away their luggage. Estelle says, okay, the luggage is secure. So where's this spa now? Tita says, oh, there's a separate bath behind the building. It's a big open-air bath. Joshua says, you mean it's basically outside then? Estelle says, oh, that sounds neat. Let's go. Well, we're let's going. Opening a bath that way. Estelle says, wow, it's already dark. Joshua says, look at the Eastern style garden. Very nice. Dorothy says, oh, Estelle and Joshua, hi. Estelle asks, Dorothy? Dorothy asks, did you come here to soak in these heavenly waters too? I just love it here. It's so spacious and comfortable. I just wish staying in the hot water didn't make me dizzy after a while. Estelle asks, have you been in here this whole time? Dorothy says, oh yeah, it just feels so good. And who are you, little girl? I don't think we've met before. Tita says, I'm Tita. It's nice to meet you. Dorothy says, Tita, huh? You could call me Dorothy. I'm a photographer for a magazine in Gronsel. Tita says, really? Well, that must be a great job. Dorothy laughs. It is pretty awesome. All right, Estelle, you guys are staying at the inn, right? Why don't we have dinner together? Estelle says, sure, sounds okay. Joshua asks, would you mind waiting for us? Dorothy says, sure, I'll have some fruity milk in the meantime. I'll see you guys soon. Okay then. Adele says, this garden is so mysterious and beautiful under the moon. Don't you think so? Cigaro says, that bath was hot. It warms you right down to your toes. Nothing like a slow, warm bath to help you forget all your troubles. Acorns and carrots. Okay. Estelle says, let's see, this is the door to the baths, right? Tita says, Estelle, this is the men's bath. We have to go to the women's bath. Estelle says, oh, okay, they're separated. How silly of me, I need to change my clothes. Joshua coughs slightly. I believe this is goodbye for now. Estelle says, okay, see you later. Tita says, excuse us. Estelle and Tita are now together in one bath. Estelle says, this feels so good. Way better than I ever thought it would. I'm not like Dorothy, but I could see getting seriously addicted to this. Tita laughs. I already am. When I was little, Grandpa used to always bring me here. Estelle says, okay. Hey, where does that door go? Tita says, that leads to the open-air bath I was talking about before. It's huge. I bet it could fit 10 people at once. Estelle says, wow, cool. Estelle says, "Ooh, I feel like I could dissolve in this. All this travelling has worn me out." Tita asks, "Have you been doing all your travelling on foot? Why not take an airship?" Estelle replies, "For training, I guess. My dad always said it was super important." Tita asks, "You mean Mr. Cassius?" Estelle says, "Yeah. Shara was another student of my dad's. He told her all the time that she should travel by foot. You should see the places you should protect with your own eyes, or some such." Tita says, "Whoa, cool." Estelle says, "Yeah, he was big on impressive speeches, but he knew how to back them up when he had to." Estelle sighs, "I wonder where he is now." Tita says, "Estelle." Estelle laughs. "Sorry, didn't mean to get all gloomy on you. I'm in training too, and it's not like worrying will do me any good. I guess all I can do is have faith in him." Tita says, "Faith?" Estelle asks, "Something wrong?" Estelle shakes her head. No, I'm okay." "Oh yeah, I had something I wanted to ask you." Estelle asks, "Something? Okay, dish, you can ask me anything." Tita blushes. Well, are you and Joshua married?" There is awkward silence. Estelle says, "Sorry, I must have spaced out. What about me and Joshua?" Tita says, "I was wondering if you and Joshua were married." Estelle says, Well, what? Why would you ask a thing like that?" Tita says, "But you have the same last name. You don't look like each other at all, so I didn't think you were siblings." Estelle says, "We don't look alike because we're not blood related. Our name's the same because Joshua was adopted." Tita says, "Oh, okay. Sorry, I had it all wrong." Estelle says, "Boy, did you ever. Besides, he and I are both only 16. Marriage is a subject for way off in the future." Tita says, "Right. I guess you wouldn't get married so young, no matter how much you love each other, huh?" Estelle goes, "Ugh. I'm telling you, Joshua and I are not boyfriend and girlfriend. We're just family." Tita blushes. "Really?" Estelle asks, "What do you mean, really?" "Sweetie, do you get that kind of vibe from watching us or something?" Tita asks, "What kind of vibe?" Estelle replies, "Like we're together, as in together. Like lovey-dovey, hot, can't keep our hands off each other together." Tita blushes. "Oh, well, no. But you're always with each other, and you're comfortable with each other, and you almost finish each other's sentences." Estelle says, "Well, I can't argue with that. But don't you think that could just as easily be how family and close friends act? And anyway, even if we ever did feel like that toward each other..." A little montage. Estelle thinks to herself, "No, bad thoughts. And why am I getting so embarrassed by these questions? I always handled them fine before." Tita looks at Estelle like she has no idea what Estelle's doing. Tita asks Estelle, "Your face is all red." Estelle says, It's nothing, no reason at all." I mean, it's because the hot water's so effective. Yeah, that's it. It just gets the blood going, and staying in too long can make you dizzy. Tita says, okay. Estelle asks, wasn't there an open-air bath here? I suddenly want to try it out. Let's go. Tita says, right. By the way, Estelle, the open-air bath is unisex. Estelle is now outside at the outside bath, theoretically alone. She blushes and whispers to herself, okay, settle down, heart, I hear you. What the hell was that about? I've never even thought about Joshua like that before. Stop it, Estelle. This isn't like you. And she goes into the bath and says, this feels great. I love that the bath is open to the outside. And it's big enough to stretch out and really relax in. A boy's voice says, you do know that you're not meant to go swimming, though. Estelle pouts. You see me doing the butterfly stroke, buddy? I'm not your buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, pal. Never mind. Estelle says, Joshua says, hi, Estelle. I got in a little while before you. It's kind of awkward to be around you like this. But hey, the hot spring works even better than I'd expected. It's good for injuries and it really helps work out any muscle stiffness. Just the right idea for a bracer, really. Estelle's mouth is moving, but no words are coming out. Joshua says, you staying silent like that is making this a bit awkward, you know. Estelle stammers, and screams. And that's the end of the bath. No, it's not. They're all in the bath now. Mrs. Mouse says, that shriek startled me so badly that I almost flew through the ceiling. I almost suffered through a heart attack, and all for what? A false alarm? Estelle says, I'm sorry. Mrs. Mouse says, listen, the open-air bath is unisex. Is there not a sign clearly saying that in the dressing room? Estelle says, Joshua says, I think what she's trying to say is that she didn't notice it. Mrs. Mouse says, first of all, getting caught starkers once or twice isn't such a big deal that you need to go screaming your lungs out. And I've heard it said that a woman's skin gets prettier when you show it off. Tita asks, really? Estelle says, bunch of crap. I wasn't out to show off anything for anyone. Mrs. Mouse says, well, whatever then. Why not make up and just try to enjoy the bath? This place was intended for family members to be able to bathe together from the get-go. Now I'm off. And Mrs. Mouse goes back into the hotel. Estelle sighs, and suddenly I'm exhausted. Joshua, this is all your fault. Joshua asks, how do you figure that? I mean, it wasn't me who shrieked like a banshee, nor did I flake out and completely miss the sign in the dressing room. Estelle says, you shut up. You think you're so cute. Well, you're not. Joshua asks, oh, is that how it is? Well, fine. It's not as if it means anything to me whether or not you think I'm cute. Estelle asks, what did you say? Joshua says, I'm making a point. Looking at me and screaming the way you did, I never would have even dreamed that you'd react like that. Estelle blushes. Oh, well, I just wasn't... It was bad timing, okay? I didn't mean that I'm disgusted by the thought of being in there with you or anything. Joshua says, No, I wouldn't want you to put yourself out. I'll just be on my way so you two can be alone. Estelle shouts, Put myself out? I can't believe you sometimes, you jerk. Joshua chuckles. Look who's talking. Tita giggles. Estelle blushes and says, Hey, don't you dare laugh, Tita. Joshua says, I still don't get why I'm the jerk, but whatever. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to embarrass you. Tita says, It's okay, I'm sorry for laughing. I'm a little envious. Estelle asks, Envious of what? Joshua asks, Why? Tita says, I don't have any siblings, so I don't have anyone to fight with or make up with. Grandpa's always nice and never mean to me, mostly because my mum and dad couldn't be there. Estelle asks, Huh? Joshua says, You don't mean to say that they're... Tita replies, They've been out of the country working as orbital engineers for a long time. I guess there's somewhere that orbital technology hasn't really hit yet. I'm not even sure how many years it's been since they last came to Zeiss. Estelle says, I had no idea. Joshua adds, You must have been lonely. Tita says, Not really. I have my grandpa at least, and everyone at the central factory is always super nice to me, but I still get a little jealous when I look at you two. I'm probably just wishing for something that I'll never have. Joshua says, Tita. Estelle says, I've got an idea. Tita says, Huh? Estelle says, From now on, I'll be your big sister, and Joshua can be your big brother. Tita asks, What? Joshua sighs, always with the grand sweeping gestures. Estelle pouts, Oh, come on, are you seriously complaining? Joshua says, No, I feel the same way you do. I have no objections as long as Tita's okay with the idea. Tita says, Thank you, both of you. I don't know what to say. I can't stop smiling. Estelle says, Well, that settles it then. Treat us just like you would a normal brother and sister. I give you permission to make fun of Joshua as much as you like. Joshua says, That's right. Estelle is fair game to make fun of too in that case. And talk to us just like when you talk to the professor, like family. Tita asks, But is that really okay? I'll try, I promise. Okay? Estelle nods. Okay. Joshua smiles. So this is a new beginning for all of us. Dorothy says, Man, they're so late. This is inside the hotel. Ugh, I drank too much fruity milk. Now my stomach's all messed up. After getting out of the spa, Estelle and company tried to soothe Dorothy's annoyance with some of the inn's fine Eastern cuisine. This was followed by an enjoyable game of cards, after which they returned to the spa. And so the evening wore on comfortably. Estelle says, Okay, Mrs. Mao. Joshua says, We really appreciate everything. Mrs. Mao laughs. I'm just glad you were able to relax a little. And Tita, you certainly seem to have enjoyed yourself. Tita laughs. Is it that obvious? Mrs. Mao says, You all seem closer than you were yesterday. Must be the magic of the springs. By the way, what happened to that girl with the glasses? Estelle says, I think she's still in bed. We called for her, but she didn't answer, and we didn't want to barge in. Joshua says, When Dorothy does wake up, please give her our regards. Mrs. Mao says, Certainly. Tita, I'd like for you to tell Russell something for me when next you see him. Tell him that I said he needs to focus on the rest of his life, beyond all the 24/7 research. Tita laughs. Okay, I will. Take care of yourself, Mrs. Mao, and you need to come visit too. Mrs. Mao says, Sure thing, hun. You're all welcome back any time. The baths are always waiting. Estelle says you can count on it. Joshua adds, Absolutely. The food was great too. Estelle says, I feel rejuvenated. Joshua says, and we never would have come at all if the pump hadn't needed repairing. So I guess we owe our thanks to you, Tita. Tita says, but I didn't do anything. I should be thanking you for everything yesterday. It was really fun. Estelle laughs. Glad to hear it. I guess that means we're even. Tita says, Yep, I guess it does. Joshua asks, Shall we return to Zeiss then? The professor might be done with taking apart the black augment by now. Estelle says, Oh yeah, we do still have that to deal with. I'd completely forgotten. Joshua sighs. Why am I not surprised? Tita laughs. Dorothy cries out, Wait! Estelle says, Hi, Dorothy. Finally decided to rejoin the world of the living. Dorothy pants, No fair, you guys. How come I got left behind? Estelle asks, Huh? Joshua asks, Didn't you say that you were sticking around to get some more shots for a story? Dorothy asks, Oh, did I? Whatever, I just hate being left out. Don't you, little T? Tita asks, are you talking to me? Estelle asks, Where'd that come from? Dorothy says, I just wanted to give you a nickname. You don't like it? Tita says, No, it's all right. Dorothy grins. Awesome. Thanks, little T. Estelle sighs. You really are lost in your own world. Oh well, you can come back with us to Zeiss if you want. Dorothy laughs. Now you're talking. Joshua says, Okay then, want to give this whole leaving thing another shot? Well, I guess we're leaving. A man's voice says, very good. An Eastern man says, Hello ladies, I was just wondering if I could ask... Estelle says, Huh? Tita says, Whoa, he's huge. Dorothy cries, It's a bear. Eastern man asks, Bear? Okay. You don't need to worry about me. All I want is some directions. You wouldn't happen to know where Elmo's hot springs are, would you? Estelle replies, Oh, well, we just came from there, actually. Joshua says, It's just down the road, south from here. The Eastern man says, I see. Thanks for the information. Oh, you. Estelle asks, Huh? The Eastern man asks, Could it be? Is it possible? Joshua asks, Is what possible now? The Eastern man says, Oh, sorry, it's nothing important. Take care. And off he goes. Estelle says, Oh, wow. Man, a few words. His clothes look Eastern, so I figured he must be foreign. Joshua says, Well, Zeiss is right on the border with the Calvard Republic. He might have come from there. Tita says, I bet you're right. Mrs. Mao told me about people who live way off in the east. Estelle says, oh right, I think Killiker is from the east too. Dorothy says, and he was so huge. I was super surprised. Tita laughs. I guess he does kind of look like a bear. Estelle says, but he doesn't act like any bear I've ever seen. He looks like he studies martial arts. Tita asks, how can you tell? Estelle says, well, I'm a martial artist too. He wasn't just big, he looked like he trained his body like crazy. Joshua agrees, indeed, and his legs were like tree trunks. He might be a master, just like Estelle's read about. Well, he might be. We are back in Zeiss, and Estelle says, just to say something different. Tita asks, what's the matter? Estelle says, maybe I'm just losing it, but I thought I heard something. Joshua says, you're not losing it, at least not because of that. I heard something too, but far off, from the direction of the factory. Tita asks, what? Dorothy says, oh no, what do you mean? Estelle says, I don't know, we'll just have to go and see. And we shall just have to go and see next time. So if you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. We hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you in the next episode.